Hello friends, welcome back to the channel. My name is Miki and this month we are doing a whole month of finance videos. Today's video is going to be a little bit different because instead of talking about what to do, we're going to be talking about what not to do in your 20s. Money talk can be confusing, overwhelming, and can be a lot of information. So today we're just going to break it down step by step so that you can be financially savvy and ahead of the game. Number one, not budgeting. If you do not have a budget, then you do not know where your money is going. It's really important to be aware of the money coming in and exactly where you're spending it and where it's being dispersed. I'm definitely guilty of this because for so long I was just like, oh, I'll make like a mental estimate. I kind of know where things are going, but you don't. There's no way in heck you can keep track of all that information. So it's really important to use tools to make sure that you are budgeting correctly. Budgeting also ensures that while you are enjoying today, you are also planning for the future. Let's say you're planning to buy a house or a car or make a bigger purchase in the near future. If you do not budget, you will not be able to hit the benchmarks in order to have enough money to do XYZ thing that you're looking for to do. The hardest part about budgeting is finding a system that works for you. I'll link some free budget spreadsheets and resources you can find in the description box below. And I'm going to tell you why I personally don't like one of the systems that is most commonly recommended for budgeting. You may have heard of the 50-30-20 rule. This is where you spend 50% on needs, 30% on wants, and 20% on savings/retirement. So this rule, the 50-30-20, is being calculated with your gross income. So let's say you make $9,000 a month, then in theory you should not be spending more than $3,000 on rent. I don't like this rule because immediately I feel like using your gross income is a big mistake. To me, if you're looking at needs, wants, and savings, then the priority should go needs, savings, then wants. Wants should absolutely be the last priority and the smallest category if you're not able to meet the other two categories first. Let's break them down one by one, okay? So the first rule is that your rent or your mortgage should not be more than 30% or about 1/3 of your gross income. Instead of using your gross income to calculate, I like to use my net income instead. If you're on a W-2, then your taxes, Social Security, all of these fees have been taken out because using your gross income to calculate things is rather inaccurate considering that that amount of money is never actually deposited into your account. So instead of using your gross income, I encourage you to use 30% of your net income, and that should give you a more accurate estimate of how much you should be spending on housing. For most people, housing is your singular biggest expense. The more you can lower this, the better. For so long in my life, I lived with a roommate, with a significant other, with parents, whatever you need to do to get your biggest expense down, it will go so far in life later on. I am much more concerned about future me than present me. There's a lot of things that I want, but I certainly don't need them. As I get older, if I'm 40, 50, 60, I'm probably going to need a little bit more luxury in life. Traveling is going to be more painful, so maybe instead of sitting in economy, you'd want to upgrade a little bit. Right now, I don't need that necessarily. So instead of the 50-30-20 rule, what I do is that I allocate all of the money in the places where they need to go. Number one, I always max out my retirement accounts. For me, this is the simplest way to invest in my future. Also, there are tax benefits of contributing to your retirement, and so there are actually limits on this anyways. It's not like you contribute 100% of your paycheck to just your retirement. Number two, I go ahead and just pay for all of my life necessities because they're non-negotiable, right? All of those can't really change that much. I deduct all of my retirement, I deduct all of my necessities, and the number that I'm left with, this is the number that I divvy up. So as my income has changed throughout the years, this number has looked very different, but when I was younger and I had a very ambitious goal of trying to buy a house by 24 years old, I knew that I was going to need a large amount of money saved. Because of this, 80% of that number I saved. And you're gonna be like, Miki, how is that even possible? I promise you, it is possible. Like literally all of college, all I had was one plate, one cup, one fork, one spoon, because I was like, I don't need any more than that. And same goes for random things like Stanley cups. Do you really need 5 of those? So I saved 80% and then I spent 20% on things that I wanted. And for me, that's mostly eating out on food because I love food. And so I still want to enjoy life. I'm not trying to deprive myself and be unhappy every single day. It's so easy to look at people around you and be influenced by them and the way that they spend your money. So really think about if what someone else is doing for themselves is actually what's best for you. Kind of going along budgeting, it's also really important that at the end of every month you pull up your credit card statements and look through and make sure that you did adhere to your budget and whether or not you need to make any adjustments. Another mistake is looking at your gross income instead of your net income. I know we talked a little bit about this, but this truly is the case. If you've been following me for some time, then you may know that I use what I coined the Miki rounding system. So I always round my income down and my expenses up. So for example, if I spent $67 on groceries, when I do my mental math, the $67 actually rounds to $100. And let's say I made $1,000 $2,200 in a shift, then I actually made only $1,000. So my rounding is basically ensuring that I'm always positive and I'm coming out with more money than I anticipated. If you are calculating life based on your gross income, a amount that will never actually hit your bank account, you will be setting yourself up for failure. Make sure you use your net income amount. Number 3, not looking at and understanding your student loans. Student loans are terrifying. The government makes an insane amount of money off of people who just want to get an education, but it's something that most Americans have to deal with. Now, student loans are very different from person to person, situation to situation, and also between undergrad and grad school. Typically, student loans for undergrad do not accrue while you are in school. However, they do accrue while you are in grad school. So if you decide to go to graduate school, not only will your undergrad loans be accruing interest, but your grad school loans are also accumulating all throughout the time that you are in school. It is incredibly intimidating because your student loan amount is probably something that is very, very large, daunting, and it feels like it's impossible. There's no way to pay it off. What you need to do is sit down, make a plan, and figure out how you're gonna pay it off. One thing that Kevin and I did is that we looked at the med school loans that he had, and our goal for him was for him to pay it off within the first 2 years of being an attending. Now, if you know any physicians, you may know that a lot of them spend their entire lives paying back student loans, and Kevin's goal is to not do that. We figured out exactly how much he needs to allocate every single month. This is not a small number, and it is a very difficult task to accomplish, but he knows that the short-term sacrifices in not buying small things that he wants today is gonna make a huge impact on his future because interest is compounding. I will insert a little graph of compounding interest and how scary it is, but debt will continue to push you back until you address it head on. Some things that you may want to consider include consolidating your loans, refinancing your loans, probably not right now because the interest rates are very high, but if there is a better offer than the interest rate that you're currently getting, what you can do is refinance and get a lower rate. The hard truth is that the loans will not go away until you pay them off. Make a plan, make the short-term sacrifices, and future you will thank you every single day. Impulse spending. I've done it, you've done it. Every single thing on social media is telling you that you need this new thing. My entire feed is just product recommendations. And yes, there are some new things that I'd like to try out. I promise you, you do not need all of them. Have some rules for yourself for spending. 1, as we talked about in the budgeting section, make sure that you have allocated a specific budget or percentage of your income to spend on buying things. 2, from the moment that I add it in the cart, I have to wait at least 24 hours before I check out. There are a lot of times where you wake up the next morning and you're like, hey, I don't think I actually need that. So wait 24 hours and you'll be surprised how much money you save. 3, I do not use Apple Pay for my online purchases. Why, you might ask? Because literally you can buy something with 2 clicks. That is too dangerous. So I force myself to open my computer, sign into the browser. This also ensures that I can use cashback sites like Rakuten, Honey, etc. to make sure that I am getting as much money back as I can. And then input my address one by one, every single line, so that I have every single one of these checkpoints to ensure that this is actually something I need. To go along with impulse spending, luxury items. You do not need luxury items. Yes, the quality is slightly better. Yes, it's exciting, it's fun to show off, but I promise you, you don't need them. And this is coming from somebody who does own luxury items and has bought things that I certainly regret. Maybe not so much regret, but I definitely don't think it's worth the amount that I paid for. Everybody has different priorities. For some people, luxury items are really, really important to them. And for me, I can tell you that if my house was on fire, none of my luxury items would be in the top 25 things that I would grab before I left. I think it's really nice to have one bag, you know, maybe one wallet that you can bring and show off in events where you want to dress yourself up and look nice, but limit yourself and ask yourself if this is something that you want to use and invest in for the rest of your life, because there are so many impulsive luxury things that I've just bought kind of on a whim, and now I don't know that I'll ever use it again. The most important thing about impulse spending and spending your disposable income is to make sure that this is absolutely last priority. Everything needs to be distributed where it needs to go before I'm allowed to buy random things. Next one is credit cards and not using all of the benefits that your card offers. You know how everyone is always like, oh, you need X credit card, Y credit card, and then you end up with with all these credit cards with all these hefty annual fees and different benefits, but sometimes you just forget to use all the benefits. What I like to do is to make an Excel spreadsheet or even have it in a notes app and literally write out every single benefit that you need to make sure that you use so that you are maximizing your credit card. For example, the Capital X Venture card has a $395 annual fee. However, they do offer $300 travel credit every year that you can use to book on travel, as well as a $100 credit to do TSA pre or global entry. Just those two things alone can counteract the annual fee, but that's only if I use it. You have to remember to use the benefits. And I am guilty of this. I have a credit card that offers me $10 Grubhub credit every month, and I cannot tell you the number of times that I have forgotten to use it simply because I forgot. Make a spreadsheet, make a little template, and make sure that you are taking advantage of everything. In this sheet, I also like to outline exactly which cards give me which points in what categories. So anytime I buy groceries, I know that I'm using my Amex Gold because that gives me 4x. Do not use the wrong card for the wrong purchases. This is also a great time to find out exactly what month your card renews, because right before that, you can get retention offer from these credit card companies. If you contact Amex the month that your card is about to expire and you say, hey, really thinking about canceling my card, do you have a retention offer? A lot of the times it will give you a nice hefty sum of points just to keep you as a customer. And next up, you knew it was coming, not investing sooner. The sooner you invest, the more it'll make for you. I'll show you a comparison of two graphs between somebody who invested earlier on in life as opposed to somebody who waited later, and the difference is astronomical. I think for all of us, our biggest nightmare is to continue trading time for money for the entirety of our lives until we retire. You want to let your money work for you instead of the other way around. The best way that you can do that is to invest. Now, there are some prerequisites to investing that you should have taken care of, including setting up your high yield savings account, making sure you have your emergency fund of 3 to 6 months, etc. But I detailed all of that in a different video, so I will link it up here so that you can check that out. Investing is a big word, and I know it can sound very complicated, and I would honestly consider myself a lazy investor. I use the dollar cost averaging method, so I buy the same amount of the same stock every single week. I invest in the S&P 500 because for the last 100 years, we know that it has between a 7 to 10% return every year. 7 to 10% every year for the rest of my life, compounding until I'm 60, is gonna be a lot of money. The ups and downs of the stock market do not worry me at all because one, I really don't check it that frequently, and two, I know that even if it's high today, it'll be a low compared to when I retire years and years and years down the line. Again, the previous video I made explains all about index funds, how I invest in them, and my personal methods, so feel free to check that out. There's also so many other easy ways to do it through Robinhood, Fidelity, etc. And for those who are new to investing, just put $100 in something and just start to understand what it can do. I know it can be really scary, but just take a small amount of money so that you can start tracking and understanding how stocks work to kind of dip your feet in the water. Okay, the next four I'm gonna kind of group together because they are all about shopping and shopping habits. We're just gonna talk about unhealthy shopping habits. Number one, not using gift card / store credit. How many times have you gotten store credit or a gift card and one, completely forgot about its existence, never used it again, and then the time you go to the store, you're like, shoot, I forgot to bring the gift card. I am going to fix this problem immediately, okay? What you're gonna do is download what's called Calculator Plus. It's a secret calculator app that basically allows you to house secret photos in your phone. Some people be using this for sketchy methods, but I personally use it for my important documents and my gift cards. And I take a picture of every single gift card that I have, the front and the back, because a lot of the times, as long as you have the numbers, they can input it in store even if you don't have the physical card. And then make a notes app and write down like Hollister, $21.53, Alaska Airlines, $300 and expires by August 21st. Make sure you have a line-by-line breakdown so that you know exactly where your money is being kept. That is your money, make sure you use it. For anything that has an expiration date, I like to go to Google Calendar and make sure that I set a reminder 3 months before it expires, then 1 month before it expires. Next up, not using Rakuten / cashback. I know I've raved about Rakuten since the beginning of time because genuinely I have been a customer since 2015. So it's nearly been a decade since I've been using their services. Rakuten is free cashback. Literally all you have to do is install this Chrome extension, and then anytime you go to a website, it'll pop up a little thing. If there's any cashback that you can earn, you click one button to activate and you get cash back. The way that it works is that they send you either a check or PayPal or Amex points every quarter. If you don't use a cashback site like this, then you literally are just losing money. During Black Friday, during big sales especially, a lot of retailers retailers will increase their cashback percentages. If you use a friend's referral link, you can get $30 to $40 sign-up credit immediately upon doing your first purchase. Number 3, not price matching. Did you know that when you go to Target, you can pull up the Target app, and if you scan the barcode, it'll pull up the item on their Target website. On the website, if the price is lower than it is in store, you can ask them to price match for the lowest price. I use Target as an example, but this is true for a lot of retailers. Always do a little online digging, especially for bigger purchases, because chances are you can probably find a cheaper price. In addition to Rakuten, the other thing I would highly recommend you download is Honey. Honey has a feature where they do price tracking. When you open a page and look at a product, especially on Amazon, you can see the history of how they changed the price. Look at the price history. They probably jacked up the price and then brought it back down, and now it's saying sale, when in reality it's just the original price. Especially for things like Black Friday, make sure you know whether it's a real sale or to wait to buy something. Honey also gives you a bunch of different coupon codes, so when you check out, it'll automatically run like 20 different coupon codes just to see if there is one that works. And number 4 in this category, buying everything on Amazon. I'm certainly guilty of this because it's so easy. We have Amazon Prime and it arrives sometimes same day, sometimes next day. You pay for Amazon Prime and it's not cheap. And you think that includes all your shipping costs for the year, but it doesn't. Almost every single item that you buy on Amazon is more expensive than if you were to go to Walmart or Target to buy it, because they've already included all the shipping, the packing, the labor in that product, but then they tell you it's free shipping. If you do not need something immediately or you can buy something elsewhere, I would highly recommend not buying it on Amazon. I will say though, Amazon does have a really awesome return policy, so if it's something that you may want to return, then perhaps Amazon is the best option. Those were some of the money mistakes that I made in my 20s. I hope that you found this video helpful, and if there were any other lessons that you learned or are currently learning, please do leave them in the comments down below. I'm on this financial journey with you guys. I really am trying to be more financially literate, more understanding, be more transparent and honest with myself about what my financial situation is. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you have other video requests related to finance, feel free to leave those in the comments as well. And I'll see you guys next week. Bye!